I was still at the
Became
highest
selfless,
levels.
right?
Yeah. Well, I was still very selfish, but it gave me a balance.
Man, I'm telling this because I know from the outside perspective, okay? I'm going to give you what my thoughts were. You're a successful businessman. You're really smart, always being a smart man.
Mm.
I mean, that's what I look up to you all the time. You know, always being a smart, centered person. You know what you're doing. And even though you think you're being selfish, you're not selfish because always had a successful school. And that's what I know, you know, from the outside perspective. You know, I always thought you were really savvy as far as, you know, business and many other things. You know, have a lot of admiration for you as a person. And you think you're selfish, but I don't think you are selfish as certain people are. I think you're more selfless than you think. That's my opinion.
Well, thanks, man. Yeah, I think if I think about that, I've thought about that as well. Like my mom was a teacher, my grandparents they were on the board of education, so and my grandfather was an attorney, but he dedicated most of his life to like, creating nonprofits and just helping the community out,
Yeah.
And so I grew up with that, seeing that, and I think a part of me is it's in my DNA, right? To want to help others, help the community,
Yes.
help people reach their potential, be their best,
Yes.
And then of course Jiu-Jitsu has given me such a platform to do that, right? Like
Yes.
touching and like the physical part, So thank you, man. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, man. I remember going
it's
to
been
school, man.
But I was young,
like,
and I was definitely like driven and focused and competing and fighting, and I was a savage and bringing out. I'd make everybody would compete in the gym. Everybody would compete, even guys that didn't think they were going to compete, they became competing. And it's funny because Cliff, he lives in Houston now. He's an affiliate of Pablo Silva, right?
Yeah.
Tom Pless. He took over my Santa Fe gym when I moved.
Yeah.
But he's like, he was older. He was like an investment banker, a really smart guy, chemical engineer guy when he was younger. And he was just like, I really love the energy. I'm not like 25 anymore, but he was like in his 40s.
Yeah.
But he's like, I really like the energy. It was reminding me of when back in the day in our school. So so there's some good, right? There's some good with that.
Yes.
But I hear that because some people tell me about other schools or other training with other competitors, and they just think about themselves. They just think about like how can I get better? They don't think about others.
Help the other person.
Yeah, helping the other.
Like I was
person.
like that, Like it's funny for you to say that, and I remember when I was like, those are the biggest transition for me. Is like when I was competing, I was still competing as a teacher. It was about me more than my students. I remember the guys came to me, you don't understand those things because when you're an athlete, you're more focused on yourself, And I was like, the guy said, "Hey man, can you coach me?" I was like, "Man, I'm coaching," and I thought that was coaching because, I'm not going in details, and I thought it was coaching, and I realized it later on as I became more and more selfless. Mm-hmm. There's levels to it.
Yeah, there's levels for sure.
And I feel like now I'm doing my best to be the best coach as I can in my potential. And I will always like remember that watching you went to school back in New Mexico, and man, you had everything so organized, so systematically done. And I think that I was like, man, this guy's next level. And I always have that admiration. It's like, man, how he's doing things, man. Look at you. Remember, you have the time. You'll never forget this. Like, you were so ahead of the curve. Everybody was doing this 1 hour crazy class, and you're already doing 30 minutes, 45 minutes.